What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. We're here for the Mexican Grand Prix. I feel like everything relating to Mexico is happening this weekend. Career mode, of course, being the pinnacle. But, you know, F1's in Mexico this weekend. Forza Horizon is in Mexico. Anything else? Most car YouTubers uploading videos are in Mexico too. Anyway, let's get into this because this is a crucial stage in the championship. The three GOATs in Formula One, Lewis Hamilton, Daniel Ricciardo, and Benjamin Daly, are all duking it out for the title of Season 2 of this journey. We got some upgrades coming in, and hopefully we'll be able to rush them in time for the next race, that being the Brazilian Grand Prix. We are finishing this season in Australia. So yeah, it's coming to an end very, very soon. We need to cram in as many upgrades as we can. We're running out of upgrades we can do, basically. That downforce upgrade and this brake upgrade are the last two things we can do that are going to boost performance for this car. We already have a rear downforce upgrade coming, but that's for the next race. So yeah, like I said, three of us separated by 1 point. I'm tied with Daniel Ricciardo on 163. Hamilton's on 164. It is going to be very interesting indeed. So we'll see what we can do. We need to get some points in this race and some resource points.
Thanks. I know these kinds of decisions can be challenging, but I think you made the right call.
Which is exactly what we've gone for. Cost us 50k to get extra 500 resource points, which puts us over the threshold of actually being able to afford another upgrade. But the only upgrade left is the calipers. Now, you guys have been made aware of the brake problems we've been having lately. Ever since we upgraded the brake disc width, the car's been kind of undrivable, but I've been told on good authority that the first two upgrades are fine to do, but you need to make some changes to the setup. So we're going to rush it in again for the Brazilian Grand Prix, and we're basically going to drive around it or make some changes. Basically, I want to do some testing, and I think I'm going to do that in the next race. Of course, I've already recorded this one. But the next race, the Brazilian Grand Prix, I think we'll do some additional testing and really get to the bottom of what we can do to make this car competitive, because we have basically hit our ceiling now in terms of upgrades. When we get to Brazil, that's it. We can't do anything further. And as you can see, everyone else has made big gains. Red Bull, McLaren, Ferrari, hell, even Alpine are catching up to us behind in P7, I think it is. P6, never mind. Anyway, yeah, we need to get this set up in the right window, and that's something that we're going to try and do a little bit of this weekend, but I want to extensively test some things in Brazil. But anyway, coming to Mexico, this is a circuit which I've always done very well at, so confidence is going to be pretty high. We need to take some points, if at all possible, out of the likes of the McLarens and the Mercedes, and that's not been a good start to the weekend. This is what I've been talking about with the brakes. I'm running at 50% brake bias and 100% pressure, and obviously with the brake upgrades, it's just not possible to run those settings like you can in a normal career mode, in a normal online car or an early career mode car. It just doesn't work anymore. So we've got to lower the brake pressure, and that's what I did for qualifying. So yeah, again, we continue to test, but hopefully we've got the pace. Okay, so here we go for the Mexican Grand Prix. Leave a like, subscribe if you're enjoying this series, and let's hopefully finish this season on a high. We want to go for the driver's title, but realistically, we're looking at the performance of our car, and we're just not quite there. We're going to have to hope for some external factors, a bit of luck and misfortune of others in order to stay in the championship fight. To be honest, the amount that we've been able to stay in this, as we have in other moments, on 50% brake bias, being able to stay in the fight this long has been somewhat of a miracle. Surely sometime soon it's going to end if we don't turn our fortune around. We got through qualifying 1, which is fine. The pace in the drive was okay, but not amazing. Not where we want to be. But we head into Q2. we head into Q2 and it's raining. It's raining! Which in the past, in this season and in seasons gone by, normally it's a big leveler. When it has rained recently, it's spiked a bit of form. So I'm hoping that that can actually be actually more of the same in this Mexican Grand Prix. You can see we go P4, Rosberg's in third, so that backs up the pace of the car. We go P2 before being knocked down by Hamilton and Leclerc. Okay, Hamilton's time was a second faster than us. That's pretty ridiculous. But it's going to be more of the same in Q3, actually. The track actually got worse the deeper we got into Q2. I did my times early. Hamilton did his time just after mine. So the track might have been a bit better, but then in the final few minutes, it went to wet conditions. Now, heading into Q3, it is going to be wet, but apparently it's going to be lightening off. So we're getting to the point where, well, maybe it's worth a risk of just going straight onto the intermediates. The gap between the two tyres is only 0.6, and the gap is improving. So I'm just going to chance it and do some laps out there on the Inter.
The rain looks like it's going to be getting much lighter over the next 10 to 15 minutes. There should be more grip, but don't expect a dry track. It's hard to say if Inters or wets are better right now.
Okay, so that's awesome. We've spent 2 minutes trying to get out there on track, and I think that just getting up to speed and getting ready to start our lap has meant that it's now the crossover. So we're just going to go full send on the intermediate tyre. No one else has chanced it on the same strategy as us. They're all on the wets. And as such, I think they're a little bit slower than us. In fact, they're a lot slower than us. That's provisional P1 in this qualifying session. But we're still yet to wait for a response from the AI on this set of tyre. So we're going to keep chugging along, see what we can get. But these laps right here are great banker laps. They release the pressure for later on, so we can just go full send when the track is potentially at its best. And it's continuing to improve. We're 5/10 up. Even on this lap alone, on a 23.5, which isn't too bad. I think in Q2 we were in the 22s maybe, 22.9 to open the account there. So good first run. We are massively in control of this qualifying session. But now comes the final few minutes of Q3. The AI have only done one run, 1 or 2 laps maximum on the wets. And now we're going to see what they can do. We're chucking on a brand new set of intermediate tyres, and we're going to increase the front downforce for the incoming set of tyres. So hopefully we'll be able to get through the middle sector a little bit better in the wets. As a general rule of thumb, you always want to have more downforce in the wet, just to make sure that you're generating tyre temperature and able to take the corners that much faster. So here we go for our final run. We're actually able to get out first out of anyone, so we're going to get 2 laps in here. Maybe the AI will be able to squeeze in 2 laps as well, as they're starting theirs now. So some AI cars will be able to get 2 laps in. We'll get 2 as well, but we might cross the line before them, so it's going to be tricky. Anyway, here we go, out of the last corner. This is our latest run, and we improved by over a second to go into the 21s. That is a formidable time. Now everyone else has to chase us down. So here we go. This is our last lap of qualifying. We're going to ride on board for the entirety of this one. You can see I absolutely nailed that first chicane, which was absolutely beautiful. On the last lap as well, I was testing around, fiddling around with ERS deployments. I was going into none through the traction zones, and I think that was all right. Gave me good traction, obviously. But on this final lap, we're doing something different, and we're going to run hot lap all the way around the circuit like we've been doing pretty much forever. But yeah, the AI's times are now coming in. Bottas did a 21.8. Sergio Perez does a 21.7. And I don't know if he's got time to do another lap or not. But either way, we're improving by over 4/10. And that itself is going to see us through to get pole position, as long as we can keep our heads here in the third sector, trying to minimize the wheel spin. Don't make any major mistakes in this last sector of the track through the last corner. I'm always a little bit weak here compared to the AI, but regardless, we improved by over 5/10 to secure pole position for the Mexican Grand Prix. That has come out of nowhere. Absolutely no pace in the dry. Then when it starts raining, our setup works, our driving style works, it all comes together, and we're on pole by nearly 3/10 over Lando Norris, Lewis Hamilton down in P6, Daniel Ricciardo 7th, and we're still yet to find out if there's any grid penalties. So this is the perfect starting position for this race. Unfortunately, for the Grand Prix itself, it will be dry. So it'll be more of the same of Struggle Street come the race, but we've got the track position. Let's see if we can hold on to it for the Grand Prix. It'll be interesting as well because everyone has free choice of tyre because Q2 was raining. So this race could be decisive.
Here we go then. It's time to race in Mexico City, a place which gave Honda their first ever victory back in 1965. American Richie Ginther won from third on the grid. And what are the Honda-powered cars this year? Well, Red Bull have been going strong here in recent seasons, so can they keep that record going today? Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Benjamin lines up on pole position, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Looking down the rest of the grid we have Perez, Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton and Leclerc, Stroll, Sainz, Russell and Pierre Gasly. Bottas, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Vettel, Daniel Ricciardo and Armstrong, Rosberg, Tigtum, Nikita Mazepin and Nicholas Latifi. They've taken a grid penalty. Giovinazzi, Mick Schumacher, Ocon and Yuki Tsunoda. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Only 3 races left. You still have a chance at the title, but we're going to need some special performances. See what you can do.
Thank you, Jeff. It's go time. It's the business end of the season, and our championship rivals are starting down the order. Hamilton down in P5, but Ricciardo is outside the top 10 thanks to a grid penalty. Bottas is down the order as well. So there's big opportunity for us to gain some momentum in this race, and we're going to need to, because this is a strong track for us. We need to maximize this, because I'm not sure about Brazil and Australia. It could be AIOP. So we need to make the most of this. From pole position, the Mexican Grand Prix is underway, and it looks like an okay start, or maybe it's not. We're on the medium compound tires, and everyone else around us is smothering us on the softs. Heading down into turn 1, we're side by side with our championship rival Lewis Hamilton, dive bombed by the Ferrari and the Red Bull of Sergio. No, it's Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen is into P2, side by side with Norris. They made a bit of contact. I squeeze out Hamilton, and we're back up into P5. So not the ideal start, to say the least. In fact, that's a disastrous start. We've gone from pole to P5. We really need to sort out these race starts. But at the same time, medium compound tires and probably the longest run down to turn 1. I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway, around the outside of Charles Leclerc, who, by the way, lost a bit of his front wing on the start. You'll have to take a bit of a rewind to see that. But yeah, he's got some front wing damage. We're absolutely cruising now in P4. So we've recovered a little bit of ground. Thankfully, Carlos Sainz has overtaken Lewis Hamilton now and putting further cars between the two of us. And Leclerc going slowly is only further allowing me to run away on my medium compound tires. And Leclerc is not playing ball with his teammates. He's held up everyone in the train and now finally makes his pit stop. So there we go. We're now in P4. Hamilton has now got past Sainz again and has actually gapped him. Sainz is now out of the running in the top 6 at least. Not sure what's happened there, but it's been a bit of a chaotic start. But through it all, Sergio Perez leads his home Grand Prix. Lando Norris P2, Verstappen 3rd, but crucially for the AI, they're all doing 2 stops. Everyone on the soft is doing a 2-stop in this race. We're going to do a 1, and we're going to use the 2 softer compounds in this race. So we're going to run long, and we're going to try and hold up our championship rival, Lewis Hamilton, in the process. Like I said, only 1 point separating the two of us, and we're side by side down into turn 1. Thankfully this time, we're able to keep Hamilton at bay, but that's thanks to the DRS not being active yet. It will be active from this DRS zone here. So here we go. We're not strong through the high-speed S's. I suspect it's down to tire temperatures and a lack of just overall stability. As you can see, even the rear end starting to go a bit south. at the early stage of this Grand Prix, and we haven't even had tyre wear kick in. So here's the replay from Hamilton's on board. Obviously went in too fast into the corner. We're still struggling with brakes. We're struggling with a number of issues in this car, which we really need to get to the bottom of, because if we don't, we're not going to have any hope of winning this championship. So, here we go. Once again, side by side with Lewis Hamilton. This time he's got DRS. We're going to crowd him over to the left-hand side of the circuit. We're now going to tuck into the slipstream and use all of the ERS we've got left in an effort to get Hamilton. He goes in a little bit deep into turn one, has a poor exit, and we slide up the inside once again of Lewis Hamilton back into P4. And I bet at this stage he's absolutely raging. Here we go. Around the outside comes Hamilton. And again, we're going to go as late as we dare under brakes. Thankfully, with the brake upgrade, we can do these massive lunges or go further and deeper into the braking zones without any consequence, because it's keeping us in the game at this stage, even if it is overall hurting our pace. But anyway, again, not a great run out of the fast S's, and now Hamilton has to go the long way around into the stadium section. He's not going to get any space there. You can get in the bin, son. You're going to have to do this at a more conventional part of the circuit if you want to get that done. Anyway, we've got Lando and Max into the pit lane, both for front wing changes. I wonder if they've clattered into the side of each other, maybe at the first chicane, because that's where AI like to make a bit of contact, as we saw with Charles Leclerc on lap 1. And again, defending from Hamilton, using all of our ERS at our disposal to keep him behind on the DRS straights. Not a great run out of that chicane again, but we had to go deep in order to preserve the position. And again, we don't even care. We don't even care about losing time to Sergio Perez. Our fight is with Hamilton and keeping him behind for as long as possible. Meanwhile, here's Sergio. He's leading the race by over 12 seconds. 13.5 seconds at this stage. He's gaining over a second a lap, sometimes more when we're battling with Hamilton. So this is the game plan. We've got to keep Hamilton behind for as long as possible. He's on a 2-stop. The longer we can keep him behind, the easier it gets for us later to chase him down or defend from him, so to speak. So here we go, side by side once again. We mount a little bit more curb this time, and Hamilton backs out very early. It allows the Alpine of Pierre Gasly to get up the inside, and there's a bit of contact there, actually. We'll rewind that, and we'll see right at the apex, Gasly goes in quite hard and knocks the right-hand end plate of Lewis Hamilton. Now, it doesn't look like there's visually any damage, but we'll have to check with Jeff just to find out and be sure about whether he's got damage, because since that contact, you'll notice Hamilton is nowhere near as close to us as what he has been on the preceding laps. So let's check up with Jeff.
Hamilton is behind you. Our gap behind is 0.8 seconds. They're on old softs. Their tyres are 5 laps old. We think they've got 2 stops remaining. The car behind has some damage to its front wing, but pace is unaffected. The time last lap was a 1:16.0.
Oh, and Hamilton's in. Hamilton is into the pit lane. I was just about to say, Jeff, I don't think his pace is unaffected. He was clearly losing a lot of time to me, even at parts of the circuit where he was previously stronger. So here he goes, onto another set of soft compound tires. That's an interesting strategy, and changing the front wing, obviously for safety. But that's going to be another short stint for Hamilton. He's now put himself in some traffic, and we know that the Mercedes is not great in traffic. So this will be interesting. This will be a very challenging race from here for Hamilton. Side by side for Esteban Ocon. No, it's Gasly again on Bottas this time, and he's crashing into the other Mercedes. So that might be another unscheduled stop.
They're in 22nd.
As we hear about Daniel Ricciardo, who's in 22nd, by the way, and he's almost about to be lapped by Sergio Perez. So what's going on here for Daniel Ricciardo? Our championship contenders are in the mud. This is some next level scripting in this career mode series, just without the script from me. So Daniel Ricciardo stopped on lap 3 for a new front wing, went on to mediums or softs, and now he's on mediums for another stop with a change of front wing. So Ricciardo and Hamilton are not having a good day. There's someone who's gone slowly through the middle sector. That's Pierre Gasly. After crashing into both the Mercedes, he's now had an issue of his own and has slowly got himself back up to speed. So either there was a spin there, or maybe some kind of intermittent technical issue, maybe lost gear, lost drive or something and was able to resync the gearbox. I don't know, but he's able to get up to speed again, thankfully, for his race. Our race leader is in, Sergio Perez. He's on to another set of stock compound tires, which is interesting, but Sergio was able to go quite long on those. 13 laps. Here he is, coming out of the pit lane. We're going to see if we can overtake the Mexican down into turn 1 and disappoint the home fans. But unfortunately, we were so close, yet so far. Red Bull teasing us there with the opportunity of taking the lead of the Grand Prix. But yeah, Sergio, it looks like he's going to be untouchable in this Grand Prix. Fresh tyres now and clear track ahead of him. It's GG. Sergio has this race, even if he is two-stopping. So anyway, we cut back to the battle of the other Red Bull and Marduk Motorsport car. This is Rosberg on Verstappen. And Rosberg just keeping the measure of Verstappen for the time being. Verstappen trying to go around the outside at the stadium section, just like Hamilton tried to do, but this time Rosberg lets him through. So Rosberg has more manners than I do. That's not much of a shock. Anyway, Lando Norris is buying into the fight with these two squabbling side by side, and I think it's going to be Verstappen who doesn't get the DRS, and here comes Lando Norris in the slipstream of Rosberg. He might get both of these guys here as we head down into turn 1. Lando goes round the outside at turn 1. He's got the soft compound tyres on too, but no, Lando has to back out, and now that invites Max Verstappen into the fray, and Lando's lost his wing. Oh my goodness, the AI cannot race to save their lives at this circuit. Any amount of side-by-side action ends in tears in Mexico. I don't know what to say. Everyone is just getting involved with each other. I am doing the uncharacteristic thing of just minding my own business and staying out of trouble in P2. Everyone behind is just driving into the side of each other. They are ruining each other's races, and it's inviting Hamilton back into the fray because he's now in P4 in this race. But I tell you what, the AI are having an absolute mare in this Mexican Grand Prix. It's myself and Sergio Perez, basically in a league of our own. Hamilton's in for another stop because, well, he couldn't take those softs very far, and he's onto the hard compound tyres to finish off this race. So Hamilton to do 16 laps on those tyres.
Don't panic just yet, but we've seen a problem at our end. We're looking into it.
Oh, brilliant. We might be out of this Grand Prix. I was thinking this race is too good to be true, but now the Codemaster's script has come to bite me in the ass. Let's find out how bad it is.
It looks like we're experiencing an ERS software glitch. The issue seems to be fixed, but we will keep monitoring it our end.
Oh my god, okay. We can breathe a sigh of relief because we are still in this race. It's only an ERS issue. It's stuck on overtake, as you can see in the bottom left. But as we're fast forwarding, it pretty much fixes itself right about now. So we're going to turn off the ERS and we're going to press on with this race once again. That was a massive scare because we've got 18 points against our name, and this is going to be big championship points over our rivals. So let's see if we can hold on to this. If we can, this could be a lead in which we could probably defend for the final 2 races of this season. So it's imperative that we convert this into a podium. And Rosberg is in P3 as well. So things are looking pretty good for Marduk Motorsport. Rosberg has to make another stop. Basically everyone does, as you can see, have a massive moment through the S's. And now that's a bit of a warning sign that we probably need to get off these tires very, very soon. It's actually past our pit window, but I'm extending the stint now because I can, essentially. I'm waiting for maybe a safety car or a VSC because at this point we're not under pressure from Rosberg. He's over 20 seconds back, and at the same time he still needs to make another stop. So we've got 20 seconds to the nearest car, and now there's a yellow flag. This might be our opportunity to box under VSC. Sergio Perez is in. I'm coming in, but it looks like there's no interruption from the stewards. It's going to remain under green flag running, which I think maybe is for the best because that keeps my championship rivals away. So onto the soft compound tyres. We'll see if we can pump in a fastest lap as well. and get 19 points out of this race. So that as well is why I extended the stint, because it gives me a better chance of getting an extra point. And like I said, we're not under pressure from anyone behind. Verstappen is the closest car, and he's 10 seconds back. So it's pretty much GG, I think, for us in terms of getting a podium. Rosberg is just up the road, but he's got to make his final stop. So he's unfortunately got in our way on our first flying lap. So I'm actually going to back off. You wouldn't be able to tell really, but I am actually conserving the tires, and I'm going to wait for DRS to start for the next flying lap. Because crucially, we get a double dosage of DRS if we can stay within 1 second here. We'll get DRS on the big straight, and then we'll get DRS on the run into the first sector split. So there we go. Rosberg pulls over to the side into the pit lane. That's actually perfect timing for us. And now we're going to get free DRS here and free DRS right here. So that is very, very potent. And look at that, purple to the first sector. So hopefully we've got enough life left in the tires to actually overpower Sergio Perez's fastest lap. We'll have to wait and see. Only a personal best to Sector 2, but Sector 3, we pull it out and we get a 12-7, which gives us an extra point so far in this Mexican Grand Prix. Another yellow flag. That is for someone right on the right-hand side there. We just overtook. It is our former teammate. Oh, no. That is a clumsy spin. And the AlphaTauri has to do a 3-point turn to get out of there. No safety car once again, which I think is the ideal scenario, maybe. Maybe I would want a safety car now, because we've got better tyres than Sergio Perez. He's now 30, or pretty much 30 seconds up the road. Anyway, that's Daniel Ricciardo. He was nearly lapped at the start of the race. Guess where he is now? P7. P7. That's a great recovery from the Australian. But this man, Lewis Hamilton, he's not in the points. He's in P11 right now, and he is very much in danger of falling out of touch in this championship. But you can't write him off. Of course you can't write him off. He's Lewis Hamilton. Anyway, back to the battle for the final spot on the podium. Verstappen is limping home to the end on hard compound tyres. Rosberg on soft. And here we go. You can see Verstappen going defensive into the middle sector. Rosberg will have the inside for the next right-hander. And Verstappen doesn't have the grip to defend against that. Rosberg is through for a podium. A double podium for Marduk Motorsport. So Rosberg's form is really coming on strong at the end of the season, as is this man. Sergio Perez absolutely dominates his home Grand Prix.
Well done, Sergio! Well done.
This is for you guys.
What a drive from him. Sergio, that is probably the drive of the season, I've got to say there. I had absolutely nothing in response to his pace. His consistency was sublime. We're going to come out of the final corner now to get P2 and 19 points in this Grand Prix. We'll do some burnouts, but I am not the man for burnouts. It's a podium.
Yes, 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 we're on the podium. Good job this weekend. Great drive. Thank you.
I nearly binned the car. I need tips from the F1 Esports drivers about style points. Rosberg gets driver of the day. What a race.
So as they climb out of the car, the Red Bull team are ready and waiting to celebrate a thoroughly well-deserved win. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection. A shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
Wow. What a performance from Sergio Perez and Red Bull as a whole. They were so fast in this race. You absolutely can't discount them for potentially a driver's championship for one of their drivers. That was very, very special. But yeah, with that, the championship, well, it swings in our favour, but there are more people entering the fray. Both Verstappen and Perez getting big points over the likes of Ricciardo and Hamilton. Sergio's drive was so good, he lapped everyone up to P7. I mean, yes, everyone was clattering into the side of each other, but at the same time, you got to keep it clean, and that's what Sergio did. his pace was incredible. And if anything, I was surprised. Surprised that I was able to get fastest lap, and surprised that he didn't maybe steal it away from me on the last lap with a push lap or something. But we lead by 13 points over Daniel Ricciardo and Lewis Hamilton. Okay, yes, it's not an 18-point lead like I was maybe expecting it to be, but I'll take every point I can get. With the car that we've got, upper midfield car, we're about, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 slower than those around us. Hopefully with the upgrades coming in and some setup changes, we'll be able to bridge that gap. But we've got to defend now. Defend, defend, defend. For the final 2 races of this season of career mode, we've been overtaken by Red Bull and the Constructors, but the focus now is on trying to limit the damage that Hamilton and Ricciardo and maybe even Perez are going to do in these final few races. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed that one. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content. And let me know who you think's going to win the title. It could honestly go either which way. The other teams are obviously still upgrading. We're putting on our final upgrades, hopefully, for the upcoming Grand Prix. I mean, we're rushing them in. Hopefully, they actually do go on the car. We're going to need them because it's going to be tough to be anywhere near their pace in the final 2 races. Hopefully, it's going to rain in Brazil. That's what I'm banking on. And then maybe we might have a semi-decent race. Then it'll all come down to my home race, the Australian Grand Prix. Let's hope I have whatever Sergio had for breakfast this morning for that final one. But that's it for me today. Until the next one, I'll see you next time.